The Framework Laptop 13 is one of the most unique laptops on the market right now, not because it's the most powerful or the most premium, but because of what it represents. Framework is a company built around repairability, upgradeability, and long-term ownership, something that's been largely ignored in the laptop space for years. After using this as my daily driver for the past 6 months, I can confidently say it gets a lot right, but it's definitely not perfect. The model I've been using is the 2025 Ryzen AI 7 350 configuration. This is paired with 64 gigs of DDR5 SODIMM RAM, 2TB Gen 4 NVMe SSD, 2.8K option for the display, and that's also 120Hz. For expansion, I daily drive a USB-A slot, 2 USB-C slots, and a 256 gig expansion card, which I use to run Windows 11. In terms of software, I primarily run Fedora Silverblue, which is an immutable Linux distribution. My main use case for this laptop is my cybersecurity degree, so this machine has seen pretty heavy daily use, which includes coding, development work, multitasking, and just general everyday activities. So I've gotten to know it quite well. The build quality is impressive, especially considering how modular the device is. It's not quite as rigid as something like the Macbook Air, but it still feels solid and well put together. The display itself feels surprisingly solid. There's a little flex if you intentionally try to bend it, but during normal use, it feels sturdy and well built. The hinge is also held up extremely well. It feels exactly the same as when I first got it, with no looseness or wobble developing over time. It technically passes the one-hand open test, although the notch for opening the lid is fairly small, so realistically you'll still use 2 hands most of the time. The display is another major highlight. The specs of the display that I chose is a 2880 by 1920 resolution, 256 ppi, and a 120Hz refresh rate. And also this display comes with a taller aspect ratio, which is fantastic for coding and document work because you get significantly more vertical space. And once you get used to the 120Hz refresh rate, everything feels so incredibly smooth and responsive that going back to 60Hz on other displays is kind of hard. Also, just a disclaimer, I am using a privacy screen protector, which is why the display may look a little unusual on camera. The viewing angles of this display are generally a lot better without the privacy screen protector. The expansion card system is genuinely practical. Being able to hot swap ports depending on what you need is something that you get used to very quickly. I regularly swap between USB-C and my Windows 11 expansion card depending on what I'm doing. You're limited to 4 expansion card slots at once, although the headphone jack is built in permanently, so technically you still have 5 ports available. Extra cards aren't too expensive, usually sitting around 15 to 40 Australian dollars, depending on what type you are after. The webcam and microphones have been completely solid during daily use. They're not exceptional, but they're perfectly usable for meetings, online classes, video and voice calls, and importantly, everything worked properly under Linux straight out of the box. The hardware privacy switches are another feature that I've really come to appreciate. Physically disconnecting the webcam and microphone adds an extra level of control that you just don't often see on modern laptops. It's one of those minor details that fits the entire philosophy of this device really well. The keyboard is genuinely excellent. It has noticeably more travel than most modern laptops, and the key feel is very consistent across the entire deck. Even after months of use, it still feels just as satisfying to type on as it did in day one. And honestly, even just using a friend's MacBook Air, you can tell the difference. Linux support has probably been one of the biggest wins for this entire experience. Framework actively supports Linux, provides drivers and firmware updates, and overall this experience has been genuinely seamless. Even things like the fingerprint reader worked perfectly out of the box and remained reliable throughout my ownership. This is one of the very few laptop companies that genuinely treats Linux as a first-class platform, rather than just an afterthought. Performance has been excellent throughout ownership, especially under Linux. It handles heavier workloads without an issue, and while it definitely gets warm under load, it remains stable and consistent. At idle, it's basically silent and cool. The integrated graphics also surprised me a bit. You're obviously not buying this as a gaming laptop, but lighter games run really well, which honestly impressed me for integrated graphics. Thermally, the laptop performs pretty well. Under load, it does get warm. It's It's mainly around the underside near the exhaust and just above the keyboard. Importantly though, the keyboard itself stays mostly unaffected. The fan tuning is also excellent. It ramps up gradually, it never suddenly spikes, and it avoids high-pitched whining. Instead, the fan produces more of a soft whooshing sound that blends nicely into the background. The speakers are decent but not exceptional. They're fine for YouTube, casual media, or even some music. Stereo separation is also fairly average, so the sound stage isn't especially immersive. Vocals are clear, but they lack bass and they don't sound particularly full, especially compared to something like the MacBook Air. Perfectly usable, but just not a standout feature. Battery life is another area that could definitely be better. It's not terrible, but it's also not something you can fully rely on for an entire day without thinking about it. With my typical usage, around 75% brightness, coding, multiple tabs open, and some background music, I generally still need to bring a charger if I'm at uni all day. In real-world usage, I usually get around 5 hours of battery life. I also consistently get 1 to 2 hours more battery life on Windows compared to Fedora. Charging, however, is pretty fast, which helps balance things out. Using a 65-watt USB-C charger, the laptop generally reaches a full charge in around an hour and a half. And because it uses standard USB-C power delivery, you can basically use any decent USB-C power delivery charger that is above 60 watts. Another issue is Fedora sleep drain. On Fedora specifically, idle drain is very noticeable. It can drop a few % per hour while sleeping, which is likely due to Linux sleep state behavior. The touchpad is probably my biggest issue with this laptop, and it's something I've noticed consistently over time. But first, we'll start with what it gets right. On a flat surface, it actually works really well. The glass feels smooth, gestures are consistent under both Fedora and Windows, and tracking is accurate and responsive with a solid click feel. Now, what is the problem? When using it on your lap, it sometimes will randomly register a click and hold it. I've tried adjusting settings, but the issue persists. It genuinely seems like a limitation of the mechanical design rather than software. It's not a deal breaker, but over time, it does make more relaxed usage noticeably frustrating. Now, it's also important to acknowledge that the Framework Laptop 13 is not a cheap laptop. In terms of raw specs per dollar, there are definitely cheaper options available. But what you're really paying for here is ownership. You're paying for the ability to repair it, upgrade it, modify it, and control the hardware that you bought. And personally, I do think that repairability is definitely worth the premium. A lot of the downsides of this laptop exist in the context of what Framework is actually trying to achieve. This isn't a sealed, fixed design laptop, and that philosophy naturally comes with trade-offs. What makes those trade-offs easier to accept is the upgrade path. Framework has already released improved components with the newer Framework Laptop 13 Pro, and many of those parts are designed to be drop-in replacements. That means things like the battery, the speakers, and the touchpad can improve over time, although some upgrades do require the new chassis due to physical restraints. The important thing is, even though the original Framework Laptop 13 first launched in 2021, that device is still compatible with many of the newer parts released across later generations, including components from the brand new Framework Laptop 13 Pro. Thus, this laptop feels more like a platform that can evolve over time. And honestly, that changes the way that you judge its shortcomings quite a bit. So, who is this laptop actually for? I think the Framework Laptop 13 makes the most sense for Linux users, developers, computer science students, or just people who genuinely care about repairability and long-term ownership. It's also fantastic for people who enjoy tinkering with hardware and want a laptop that just feels more like a platform than a sealed appliance. But that being said, I don't think it's the best choice for everyone. If you want the most polished, ultra efficient, it just works experience possible, something closer to a MacBook Air, there are definitely better options. The touchpad quirks, average battery life, and smaller compromises here and there are the real things you do notice over time. But if you are willing to accept those trade-offs, what you get in return is a laptop that you can actually maintain, upgrade, and keep for years to come. And honestly, after living with this laptop for months, it feels genuinely refreshing. In a world full of locked down laptops with soldered RAM and storage, the Framework feels like a truly different approach, and I've become far more attached to this laptop than I ever expected. Frankly, after owning a Framework laptop, I just don't think I could personally go back to something like a MacBook. There's something really reassuring about knowing that if a component breaks, wears out, or becomes outdated, I can simply replace that part rather than replacing the entire computer. The Framework Laptop 13 isn't trying to be the best laptop in every category. It's trying to be the most sensible one. And in a market full of sealed disposable devices, after months of real-world usage, that alone makes it stand out. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, it would mean the world to me if you could subscribe. That way you don't miss out on future videos that I post. And trust me guys, I have a lot planned, so stay tuned.